Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today. Cyberpunk 2077, uber close. We're right there, we're knocking on the door. December 10th, it's right around the corner. Just a little bit more patience after all these years of talking, watching, reading. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we can just shut our mouths, we can pick up the controller or keyboard and mouse, and we can just play the dang thing. But now is not the time for shutting up. Ladies and gentlemen, as I'm sure a lot of you have anticipated, with Cyberpunk 2077 launching just next week, of course, coverage on the channel is going to ramp up. We're going to continue to talk about this game, and then after the launch of the game, we're not dropping it there. We will have plenty to discuss, plenty to show off. So if you are in love with RPGs, quite like I am, this absolutely is going to be your home base, so please join up. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about CD Projekt Red and a most recent investor call that occurred. Now, we've covered these investor calls in the past before. They release a ton of information because they're talking directly to the people who are financially invested in their company, and in turn, this information will help you, the consumer, out. So today we're talking about a potential DLC, I put this in quotes, delay. It's not really actually delayed, so we'll get into that. We're also going to be talking about review copies, something that's very important for not only me as a creator, but for you as a consumer, to make sure that you're able to make a wise purchasing decision. We have information on that and much more, so get comfortable. All of this information comes from Seeking Alpha. They translated the entire thing. I tried to pick out all of the highlights when I read the entire transcript because, quite honestly, it's pretty ancient. You got to sign up to this website to read the thing. By the way, if you're a website and you're watching this is stupid, just take my ad click and just move on with your life. You don't need to force people to sign up with what I did, which was a junk email. Anyway, it'll be linked in the description down below if you want to sign up, check it out for yourself. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to reading. We are 15 days away from launch. We are entering the most intensive phase of our marketing and PR campaign. On top of that, in the next 2 weeks, we'll be sending review copies of the game to journalists around the world, enabling them to publish their impressions and reviews of Cyberpunk 2077 before its release. We are very excited and we eagerly await the moment gamers can finally lay their hands on the game. So it seems like review copies are coming out quite soon. I put my request in, so together, let's cross absolutely everything we have in our body that Matty can provide the day one review for all of you out there. What's really neat about the word choice here is that they're saying the review will come before the actual launch of the game. Now, I know we're all hyped about Cyberpunk 2077, but I think that reviews should always be treated the same. Let them come out multiple days before the game's launch so the consumer can educate themselves, read and watch multiple reviews out there on the internet to make an educated, comfortable purchasing decision. I think that ultimately makes your purchase feel all the more better when you have the time to make that decision. And it's not like what I've done a lot of times is where you have the review done way ahead of time and then you have to wait for day and date, which means the actual release day of the game, and by then people could figure out for themselves if they want to go ahead and buy it. And I don't mean that in like a traffic way, because yes, of course, when you get a review copy or a game early, your channel will benefit. I've never hesitated from saying that, and it's pretty obvious that any outlet benefits from early access of any highly anticipated game. But the reality here is that if the early coverage can come out, it will benefit the consumer. It seems like CD Projekt Red's taking that route. Now, CD Projekt Red did say within the next 2 weeks, so maybe some of the press, like I'd say at GameSpot or IGN, they probably already got the game, let's be honest. They put like 16 hours into a preview exclusively, which is still like mind-blowing to me. And so I imagine they probably already have the game, but when it comes to people like myself and other independent reviewers, I get the feeling we'll probably have about a week to play this game. And so it's going to be that kind of clash between playing it faster than you normally do, which I've just sort of made that my general play style, is just I kind of go one thing to the next and the next and the next. I don't feel like I'm rushing, but it definitely isn't the most traditional way to play games for most people. But it's just, I've done this for 7 years of reviewing games now, so it's just sort of worked its way into my style, even when I'm just playing like a JRPG on my own. So that's kind of what's going on with review copies. I think that's really important to talk about. Right now, we're seeing actually games get put out early on eBay at these insane prices. What's happening is I think one copy leaked. It's been listed on eBay. So I think there is one legitimate thing out there, but people are taking the picture of that completely stolen copy and then reposting it and trying to just scam people. So it's kind of insane. For now, just be patient. We're so close. You may as well wait it out. But now we move into DLC, the multiplayer component of Cyberpunk what's happening with that? What's happening with the season pass perhaps for Cyberpunk 2077 and the extra DLC that's going to come with this game's launch? We got a little bit of information on that, so let's go ahead and do some reading. All right, Adam again, and I'll take the second and third one. Regarding multiplayer, we haven't announced any date so far, and actually right now, it's not the moment to talk about any business model for multiplayer, even though we had discussed before, but to avoid any fast in our gaming community, I will skip it because we'll share our thoughts about next year once we update our strategy. It will happen in Q1 next year, and that will be after releasing Cyberpunk, and that will be the right moment to discuss deeper or all key aspects around future releases. The initial plan was to do it before release in regards to a season pass, but after the recent delay, we decided to wait for the release to provide gamers with the game and then start talking about future projects, so after release. Now, I know a lot of people are accustomed to like pre-launch, you get your whole season pass and you learn about the entire game's future and its roadmap. I've noticed over time, I'm starting to not like it. I think it's exciting that when you buy into something for $60, you know that there's a future in that. It's sort of how the games industry has evolved, saying that you're not just buying the game now, you play it, you're done with it, you move on, but that there's an ecosystem that you could potentially invest in. When it comes to Cyberpunk 2077, this game clearly is going to be gigantic. We've seen enough evidence to go ahead and prove that between the QA, play time, or the script size. This game is seriously enormous. So for me, and I think a lot of consumers, especially after all of these delays, it would be very weird to announce the DLC beforehand when we haven't even played or seen really all that much in the scheme of things when it comes to the base game. I want some time, right? It's December. The holiday season is going to be just nearing its end eventually. Like, I want some time just to sink my teeth into this game. I'll be ready for more Cyberpunk. I know all of the internet will be ready for more Cyberpunk. We'll be comfortable, cozy, waiting for more. But a lot of us just want to play the game, and I'm glad that CD Projekt Red gets that. We do know they're going to be handling DLC like they did with The Witcher, with multiple big expansions, kind of like Blood and Wine, for example, and that's truly exciting. So there will be more on top of that multiplayer, and it looks like we won't have to wait long to hear that. Within the first couple of months of 2021, we will hear more. And of course, we know that Cyberpunk 2077 is going to take a similar approach to The Witcher 3 at its launch, with lots of free little updates and DLC being added to the game, maybe adding more quests or weapons, stuff like that. I fully expect that from CD Projekt Red, because I remember when The Witcher 3 launched back in 2015, what they were doing felt pretty much unheard of. Hey, we got like 16 quests that we're going to add week in, week out to our game just because, hey, there's already a ton of content, but we're going to put more in there. It felt overly generous, over delivery, something that you kind of hear about when we talk about Microsoft and Game Pass, of that over deliver on value. Yeah, same thing here, sort of with CD Projekt Red, adding these free updates. Of course, we know expansions are coming, they will be paid for. We don't know how the multiplayer will be structured, but I'm really excited to see how this is all going to evolve. It's clear that Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be a gigantic game. It's why they're taking all these different routes. I'm sure there will be more. So right now, as it stands, they've decided to hold off on announcing any DLC, any future plans. I think this is smart. This game is going to have a lot of staying power. People still talk about The Witcher so much, so it's only a matter of time before we hear more about Cyberpunk, but I'm more than fine with waiting until then. Now let's talk about bugs. This has been a major concern for Cyberpunk 2077. Adam Kaczynski says, in the terms of bugs, we are aware of all of them. Of course, such a big game can't just be bug-free. This is true. He's not making it up. It's very common that huge open games are going to clash at times. That's the kind of obvious, but we believe that the level will be as low as to let gamers not see them. And fortunately, some bugs extended previously were caused by some general, I would say general features, and many of them are already fixed. So what gamers will get will be different from what we reviewers will get in the final review, is going to be better than what previewers got. So yeah, pretty much just like any game, it's going to get better as it progresses onward. It's good to know that what people experienced in previews, where there were some bugs noted, it's actually going to be better in the review build. So if I were to get a copy, or someone out there was to get a copy, whatever they're playing is going to be better than what we just read about a couple of weeks ago for the preview. So we can take a little bit of solace in that. We can relax a little bit that maybe the bugs are going to be better. However, this is just words on paper, right? This is when we're talking about the game with words on paper. we'll decide for ourselves when we see it in action. We've seen the Xbox One X gameplay, the Series X, PS4, PS5 gameplay. We've seen it in action. Of course, CD Projekt Red isn't gonna go ahead and like release gameplay where it's jumping all over the place and we see popping and all that weird stuff. They're gonna make sure it looks as good as possible. So do know this is a bit of marketing, but still, I trust that this game will run a lot better, because at the end of the day, that's what the extra time really gives you. You know, you can't say, oh, we're delaying it a couple of weeks and then unbake a feature from the game and try to switch it around entirely. That's just not how it works. You need more time for that. But when it comes to bug stomping, these couple of weeks could be very significant for the game's performance. In the next few slides, starting off with slide 7, yes, this is clearly a presentation if you couldn't tell, I'd like to tell you more about Cyberpunk's promotional campaign. Here we present an updated chart showing our promotional activities between September and today. The thickness of each bar represents the intensity of activities, and as you can see, we are already in advanced phase, but the crucial, most intensive period will begin in the first days of December. So as this video goes live, I'm sure you can expect more trailers, more things to pop up across social media. I'm sure before my videos and many others you're going to be watching, you're going to see Cyberpunk really kind of rolling into those mid-roll ads and all that stuff. That kind of phase where it feels inescapable and you're like, I'm just going to buy the game to shut these people up. But yes, there's going to be more. I anticipate a trailer of some kind though. So that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of information to take away from here, whether it's review copies, which will impact you in just, I imagine, a week or so, to actually the DLC and when it's coming, when the announcement's coming, and why I think it's good that they're holding off. Lots to unpack here, but I just wanted to share it with all of you. Let me know what you're thinking of this down below. I'm very curious to see what the hype levels are at right now, given that we're very close. Are you in that phase where you're just on media blackout? You're going, you know what? After this video, Matty, I'm done. I'm just gonna wait for the reviews to come out and maybe check out a couple of them, or let me know what you're thinking ultimately, all right? I don't wanna guide you too much on your comments. So fire away. With that, take good care of yourselves. I look forward to hearing from you. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. Big thank you to each and every single one of you patrons, members out there, just really giving us lots of opportunities here. More exciting stuff to come. Can't wait for you all to see it. And with that, I'll talk with you soon. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.